Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 30 of the Top of the Morning Show. I'm your host, Juan Gotti. I appreciate you for joining me this morning as we have an interesting show lined up. Opening statements is going to be an interesting topic for a couple of teams out there as we are going to be taking a trip down memory lane 3 years ago to the 2020 NFL Draft as a lot of teams were in position to change their franchise with drafting a potential quarterback. Some did, some didn't, and now we're going to take a look at how that franchise is doing 3 years later, as that is going to be opening statements. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the whole menu this morning. What do we have to chew on this morning? Opening statements, as mentioned, is we'll be redrafting the top 5 picks from the 2020 NFL Draft. We'll take a look at who that team ended up drafting, how they're doing, and if they could redo the draft over, who would they have taken? Then, after that, we're going to be doing the NFC East offensive and defensive rankings headed into the 2023 season. We'll do division by division, but of course, me being a Commanders fan, you know I got to start where my Commanders play, and that is in the NFC East. And then after that, we got a Commanders segment where we're going to be talking about the tight end group, and we're going to be looking at how that is going to shape up as we head into training camp for the Washington Commanders. And then the last segment is going to be the shout-out segment. If we do get some participation, feel free to comment down below as the show proceeds, and feel free to donate to the channel via Super Chat or Cash App if you want to do that. Those links are in the description as always, and the Super Chat button is right there on the YouTube app. So I appreciate y'all for rocking with me this morning. Let's get straight to business. So it is currently 10:33, 80 degrees this morning. Pretty hot, you know. It ain't too bad, but it's pretty warm outside, as summer is just getting kicked off. So redrafting the top 5 2020 NFL Draft. The reason why I came up with this topic is because yesterday I uploaded a video where I redrafted the whole entire first round of the 2020 draft class. It's a lot of downtime right now, so I had to come up with some video ideas, and I felt like that was a cool video idea because my Commanders were in a prime position to get a franchise changing player, and we had a number 2 overall pick that year. So I definitely wanted to partake in that because of us being at number 2. Had the Bengals number 1. You had the Dolphins, I want to say number 5, and then the Chargers number 6. Right. So it's a lot of things teams did that year that was inside that. I would say top 6 because I think the Chargers were right there at 6, and they ended up taking Justin Herbert. But it was a lot of things that went down that night that I think if teams could redo it over, they would change their pick. So let's go ahead and kick off the top 5 draft. Let's take a look at who did they end up taking that year for these specific teams. So in the first overall pick, as we know, it was Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been amazing ever since being drafted by Cincinnati. Cincinnati is not changing their pick there. They're going to select Joe Burrow 9 times out of 9, or 10 times out of 10 rather, if they had to do it all over again. Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in football. He's already been to a Super Bowl. He definitely would have won Rookie of the Year if he didn't tear his ACL in Week 11 versus my Washington football team. Figure that. He would have won Rookie of the Year. He had a really solid year that year before tearing his ACL. And again, like I said, now he is one of the best quarterbacks in football. If you look at it, back-to-back AFC championships, right? Super Bowl berth 2 years ago now. He's definitely changed that Cincinnati Bengals franchise for the better. And they're definitely going to be a perennial contender as long as he plays, and that's what he's essentially said. He said, "Hey, our Super Bowl window is open for as long as I play." So that definitely could be true. The thing is about Cincinnati though, here shortly. Are they going to be able to keep to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? I think they could find a way. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's that big of a not necessarily that hard of a task, because you can always find a way if you really want to get it done, right? But then with that being said, you still got Joe Burrow coming up, who is going to be due for a humongous payday. So I don't know. There's some things that's going to have to be going on, going down there in Cincinnati, but for the time being, they are going to be a perennial AFC contender each and every year as long as they got Joe Burrow, honestly. And again, they picking him at number 1 was the right choice in 2020, and it's still the right choice to this day. So Joe Burrow is a Cincinnati Bengal. Even on the redraft, he's a Bengal. They don't mess up on that. Number 2 overall pick, the Washington football team had the number 2 overall pick. This was the last time we were called the Washington Redskins. So at this time, we were still considered the Washington Redskins. So the Washington Commanders, they ended up drafting Chase Young, defensive end out of Ohio State. And if you ask me how I felt about that pick 3 years later, not the biggest fan of that pick now than I was back then when we did it, because I thought Chase Young was going to be a beast. I thought he was going to be an edge rusher that was going to be the top of the league. And that very well still could be the case. Not saying it can't. But if we look at it from a standpoint of let's go ahead and redraft, Washington isn't going to take Chase Young again. Again, I love Chase Young, man, and I want to get behind him as a player. He's a hometown guy, so of course I'm going to support him 10 times out of 10. But I got to call it what it is. Washington ended up cutting Dwayne Haskins later that season, so look at what you could have had, right? Ron Rivera was headed into his first year as the Washington head coach, so he wanted to give Dwayne Haskins a chance, but I mean, you seen how that panned out. And honestly speaking, I don't know if Washington will ever be back in the position at number 2 overall pick like they were. Like, a lot of people want to say Washington's gonna be terrible, trash, or whatever, and they're gonna be in the running for Caleb Williams. I don't see that being the case. So I think this was one of the only times Washington was going to be able to be in a prime position to select a game-changer player. They went Chase Young. In the moment, I love the pick, but hindsight now, I would rather have Justin Herbert or Jalen Hurts, or it don't even matter which one, honestly, but I would rather have one of those guys. Then at number 3, Detroit. They took Jeff Okudah. This is another team that I think if they could redraft, they wouldn't take Jeff Okudah. They obviously traded him away, so you see how that turned out for him there in Detroit. So I think they would probably end up. I don't know if they would necessarily take a quarterback, because I think this is the first year of Jared Goff, or Jared Goff is coming off of his first season with Detroit. So I think, honestly, if they did a redraft, I got the Lions taking Justin Jefferson at 3. I think he will be a really, really good piece for them with that offense there in Detroit. And then you obviously later down the line, you got what's his name? Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then you still got you draft later down the line, you draft Jameson Williams. So Detroit could have had a star-studded offense. They still do now. Like, it's good now. And Ben Johnson at the helm of the offensive coordinator position there. So they still have a really good offense. Not saying they don't. But I'm just saying, if they could redraft, I'm pretty sure they would probably take Justin Jefferson at 3. He has been the best wide receiver in football, honestly, the past couple years. I still say it's Stephon Diggs, but I can't deny stats. I can't deny, even though stats don't tell the whole story, I can't deny that Justin Jefferson is top 3 in the league. I don't honestly, again, I think it's Stephon Diggs per se, but all the people got him at number 1, and I'm not gonna argue with it. There's nothing wrong with having him at number 1, honestly. Justin Jefferson is that dude, and he would definitely not fall to 22 if they did a redraft. All right, so at the number 4 position, the Giants, they took Andrew Thomas. The year prior, they took Daniel Jones, so they needed a tackle to bolster up their offensive line. I think they take Daniel Jones again if they could redo it over, or Andrew Thomas again, rather, if they could redo it over. They hit it out the park with him. He's been really good for them, whether it's left tackle or right tackle, however they want to do that, because they ended up drafting another tackle later, a couple years later, to pair up Andrew Thomas with. They ended up taking the tackle, I want to say out of Georgia, and he's been really good for them also. So I think they take Andrew Thomas again if they do it over again. And then now you go to number 5, the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins had the prime position to pick another quarterback. It was either Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert. You know, and honestly, I know they took Tua, but I think they would have taken Justin Herbert if they could redo this. If they could redo this thing, I think they take Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has been really good for the Los Angeles Chargers. And Miami, yeah, Tua's shown flashes. Tua's not bad, but obviously his health is a big concern. So you don't know what you're getting out of him as far as health-wise. So you need to have a guy that's going to at least be out there majority of the time. Tua hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy majority of his career so far. So I honestly think that they probably would have rather had Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert, again, has been really good. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Whether you say Joe Burrow would have won it if he never stayed healthy, you still can't deny that Justin Herbert is one of those ones. So I think Miami takes Justin Herbert. And then I think the Chargers are going to be stuck with a situation where they got the last quarterback left, essentially, with Tua Tagovailoa going to them in LA. So they essentially flip picks. And then, yeah, I think those are the top 5 draft picks, honestly speaking, that I see how that going. They could do a redraft. Honestly, if we keeping it all the way 1,000, the only 2 teams that really regret their draft is the Lions and Washington. But Washington, I wouldn't say necessarily regret they pick, because he still has an opportunity to go out there and be a dog this year. So it's not necessarily 100% over for Chase Young. Chase Young could definitely go out there and prove himself, and he could be that guy that he was in 2020 for the Washington Commanders. But I still think them seeing how their quarterback position has played out thus far, they would probably take a quarterback, and it would be their best. It would be best in their interest to take a quarterback, honestly. So I think that is how it would shape out, and 3 years later, what says you out there if you are listening live on air. So now let's go ahead and transition to the next topic here. I wanna do NFC East offensive and defensive rankings. I think the offensive and defensive rankings for the NFC East rather is an interesting topic, because last season a lot of people in the NFC East performed well. You know, obviously that you had the Eagles winning the division, having one of the best records in football, and making it to the Super Bowl appearance, and just falling short. But then you had the Dallas Cowboys, who had a really good defense last year. At times showed flashes of having a really solid offense. But then you had the New York Giants, who was the real surprise of the bunch. Like, when you think of the Eagles and you think of the Cowboys, yeah, it was questions going into that season for the Eagles. Is Jalen Hurts the guy? Is he going to prove it this year? But other than that, they still had a really good team around them. They just had traded for AJ Brown, right? Devonta Smith is coming off of a really good year, so that team was already good. And the Cowboys are always going to be the Cowboys, man. They're going to always be a solid regular season team unless something catastrophic just happens. All right. And then the Giants, like I said, the Giants was the real surprise of the bunch. Nobody expected the Giants to do what they did. Having Brian Dable coming in, his rookie head coach, his first year being there, they didn't expect him to really do much. But they hit it out the park with the draft again, Kayvon Thibodeau and the tackle out of Georgia. So they did a really good job there. And then they had got a really good season from Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley was his first time really staying healthy majority of the time since his rookie year, and he proved to still be one of the best backs in football. Then they got a really good year from Daniel Jones, right, and that led him to paying him getting paid. So Daniel Jones has stabilized that quarterback position for the Giants. Is he the best? No, he's not, but he's far from the worst. So yeah, they outperformed everyone's expectations of them. So let's take a look at the rankings headed into 2023. How would I rank them if I was in charge of this? If we're going on offense, you can't not put the Eagles number one. They had one of the best offense in football last year. They had one of the best offense in football. Jalen Hurts was really good last year. He was really good last year. He threw for 22 touchdowns, and he had about 6 on the ground, if I can remember correctly. So, Jalen Hurts was really good. Nick Sirianni, that offense was good. It could definitely be different now that they lost their offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen to the Indianapolis Colts. So I definitely think that you still have to put him number one, the Eagles number one, just because of what they did last year and what they still have. Losing your offensive coordinator is a huge thing, but you still got the players. You still got Jalen Hurts. You still got AJ Brown. You still got Devonta Smith. You got DeAndre Smith, who you traded for in the draft. Right? You still got a real good offense there. Dallas Goedert. And it's all about who can that next Eagles offensive coordinator just keep it going. I think Nick Sirianni is trying to build a farm. He wants it to be where, all right, you good for maybe a year or two, then you go get you a head coaching job. Brian Johnson is next up for the Eagles. So I think if you're doing these rankings, you have to put the Eagles number one for the best offenses in the league, in the NFC East, at least right now. And then I think you would have to put Dallas number two. Thing is, though, with Dallas, they on paper have the second best offense, but I could easily send a team like Washington overlapping them in the offense category. It's just all about the quarterback position. But right now, I can't put Washington over the Cowboys for that specific reason. Dak Prescott is way better than our quarterback at the moment because Sam Howell hasn't really played. So even though you can make the case, they head-to-head battle, Sam Howell won, but Dak Prescott has proven it more in a sense of more just playing more. Sam Howell only has one game under his belt, so it would be ludicrous to put him above Dak Prescott. So I think you put Dallas at number two. CeeDee Lamb, dog last season. You had some contribution from Tony Pollard that elected you to let go of Ezekiel Elliott. You probably still was going to do that regardless, but now Tony Pollard is the back there in Dallas. You brought in Brandon Cooks this offseason, so that can help give CeeDee Lamb some help. I think you still bringing back Michael Gallup, and I always liked Michael Gallup because he always torched us. I hated him because he used to dog us every time he played us, but at the same time it was like, dang, bro, he's actually really good, bro. And I can't, like, I cannot deny. That's one thing about it. If I don't care if you're my rival and I dislike your team to the day I die. If a person's good, bro, I'm gonna say they're good, bro. And Michael Gallup is one of them ones for sure. When healthy, you know. So if he could go out and be a solid number 2, because I mean in 2019 he had his best season, 1,000-yard receiving. Then in 2020 he had 800 yards, and then the last 2 seasons he only had 400 yards, but he dealt with injuries and lack of targets the last 2 seasons. So again, if Michael Gallup could stay healthy, he could definitely be a strong number 2 next to CeeDee Lamb. But it's all about, can he do that? So I think with them having Dak, and although people want to say he has regressed, and in a sense that's true, but you still can't put Sam Howell or Daniel Jones over him. Like, I don't think so. Now if Daniel Jones goes out and has another season like he did last season, and Dak is still wishy-washy, then you can make a argument that, all right, Daniel Jones may be better than Dak Prescott, but right now you still got to put Dallas number 2. And then at number 3, this is where it gets tricky, because Sam Howell is not better than Daniel Jones at the moment. I think he ultimately can be better than both of these guys, Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones. But our offensive talent is, even without Daniel Jones, is better than the Giants. I would at least think so. Right? So you take out the quarterback position and you look at the whole offensive side of the ball. You got Jahan Dawson, you got Terry McLaurin, you got Curtis Samuel, you got Logan Thomas, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson. Our offensive line is much more improved. Our offense, and De'Ami Brown's another guy that you could throw in there. And then you look compared to the Giants, our offense. They got Saquon Barkley, they got Jalen Hyatt, they got who they just drafted, who's a rookie, like he hasn't done nothing. They got, the Hodges guy. They got Darren Waller. That was a really good pickup for the Giants, right? So their offense has definitely improved in the sense of getting some key additions. And I think they got Paris Campbell too. So they definitely has upgraded, and they're definitely better than what they were last year. But I don't know if I could say they're better than Washington's offensively. Again, the only thing that they have of us is quarterback, and that's a huge deal. I'm not saying it's not, but if you're looking at it as a whole, I think I would take Washington's offense 10 times out of 10 over the Giants. So that is that for me at 3. Then at number 4, I think the Giants are going to be there for the 4th best offense in football. And again, if Jalen Hyatt turns out to be a real good wide receiver, and he shoot even wide receiver 1, then you can make an argument at some point. But we got 3 different wide receivers that I think could truly go out there and be a wide receiver 1. Yes, I'm including Curtis Samuel in that bunch. So now that we did the offensive rankings, let's go ahead and get to the defensive rankings here shortly. This is another thing where I'm looking at it like Washington's defense is really good, and I think it's gonna get slept on because of the overall lack of performance from the whole team last year, wins and losses. I mean, so let's go ahead and start ranking the defense. I think number 1 is clearly going to be Dallas at this point. I think Dallas's defense, it has been really good since Dan Quinn's arrival there. Micah Parsons is outstanding. DeMarcus Lawrence, when healthy, is still really good. They re-signed Leighton Vander Esch to a contract extension. So can he hold down that middle for them? They just drafted Mozzie Smith because they have had interior trouble. Obviously, Trayvon Diggs, one of the best cornerbacks in football. They brought in Stephon Gilmore, who is one of you can make the argument, the best cornerback of this decade. He's older, right? So he definitely potentially lost a step, but he's still a quality cornerback. He's not trash. So they definitely bolstered that secondary, and I think they had a young guy last season that stepped up pretty solid in that secondary too. So I think right now you have to put Dallas's defense at number one. If we're ranking them headed in from based off of last season and then headed into this year, Dallas is number one. And number two may shock some of you all. I got my Commanders. I got the Commanders as the second best offense. I got the second best defense rather. In the NFC East. Is it by far? Is it by much? And I wouldn't necessarily say it's by much, but we definitely have the overall better talent. Like production wise, we were really good last year. But I'm looking at the Eagles, like, didn't y'all have like 3 guys get double-digit sacks or something like that? So the production was crazy that year. But if we're looking overall, like, every position, I think Washington is second. You got Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen in the middle. They both got contract extensions, both one of the best defensive tackles in football, both of them. And they got the Van Wall in the middle. And then you got Montez Sweat, who's going to be fighting for a contract extension, who I think has proven himself a little bit thus far. He still has another notch that he should reach if he does want a contract extension. But he's been really good so far. And then you got Chase Young, who is still in question, but I think he can have a really good year this year as long as he stays healthy. And then you look at the secondary. Only thing I could really necessarily say that is in question is the linebacker position. But Jamin Davis has been better, and he's only going to continue to get better. Again, when we drafted him in the first round of the 2021 draft, when he was a project, he's only going to get better. We brought in Cody Barton to replace Cole Holcomb. Not really the biggest fan of that move, but again, I don't know. I haven't seen him play yet, so I can't be a judgmental of something I haven't seen yet. And then you go again to the secondary is where I think is where we kind of, I want to say, won last season with adding or with the breakout of Derek Forrest, with Cameron Curl being the star that he is, with Benjamin St. Juste being really good. Just got to stay healthy. Adding Emmanuel Forbes in the first round. You got Percy Butler. If I didn't mention Kendall Fuller already, Kendall Fuller. Like, the secondary is definitely loaded. And I'm definitely excited. You brought in Quan Martin this season, this past draft, along with Emmanuel Forbes. So I think Washington's secondary is really good. And their defense is really good. So I have them at number 2 behind Dallas. And then number 3, I have the Eagles. The Eagles, they have a really good defense. You know what I'm saying? I can't deny that. And I think they're going to be much better. They're going to be much better now without Jonathan Gannon. The defense is good. However, it is the reason why they lost the Super Bowl. So I'm so glad for Jonathan Gannon and that defense last season. But I cannot deny that they have some talent on that defense. Josh Sweat, really good. Obviously, Darius Slay, still one of the best corners in football. Jordan Davis, when healthy, he showed some flashes, but they got Jalen Carter there down. So can they work out that bulldog wall, and maybe they the 1-2 punch. You still got Fletcher Cox there, who's the veteran of the group. I like Hassan Reddick. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, no team wants to show Hassan Reddick love, but he always produces. You brought in Nolan Smith, right? So he could be really good. Nakobe Dean, he was alright last year. Could he take that leap in this upcoming season? Who knows? You still got James Bradbury, who's solid. Brought in Keely Ringo in the draft, right? Your safety position is the only one that's kind of a little bit like weak in a sense of like Reed Blankenship. I think he was alright last year when he stepped in. Last season for them, but I don't necessarily say that he's a game-changing safety. And then Terrell Edmonds, y'all got Terrell Edmonds there, safety. And these are the projected starters for the Eagles. But it don't necessarily mean that this is how it's gonna be. Kayvon Wallace definitely could play well. I remember him a couple years back. So they got the third best defense in the league, but that front seven is really good. Like, I'm not gonna say it's not, but I think Washington's defense is just better. And obviously Dallas has the number one defense in the NFC East. And then you go to fourth place New York Giants, and I know it always sounds like I'm hating on the Giants, so I'm always trashing the Giants, but a lot of their success last year again was due to just coaching, and coaching is a huge part of why a team could be successful. Clearly, look at the Giants, but when you look at their players, their team on field like isn't that great, like, right? But that doesn't mean that they're going to be bad this year. They could definitely still be really good this year. But I'm just saying, compared to the rest of the division, they're not that stout at certain positions. Now they definitely have some dogs. Dexter Lawrence, Xavier McKinney, right? They definitely got some guys on that defense. Leonard Williams, right? They're definitely still some people out there, but I just don't know if they're necessarily better than any three of the defenses on that position. In this division, I should say. Yeah, they did bring in Raheem Nunez Roches, which is a really solid pickup. He could be a rotational piece. He was good for Tampa Bay. You brought in Bobby Okokoro from the Colts. That was a good pickup. And Azeez Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeau. I like me some Azeez Ojulari, bro. Kayvon Thibodeau was cool last year. Had a really good season his rookie year. And Xavier McKinney at the safety position. Dory Jackson still there. You got Bobby McCain, former Washington Commander. So, like I said, y'all got some solid players, but it's not nobody that I would take over any other team in the division. So that's my take on it. So quickly running through both offense and defense. I have offense. I got the Eagles 1. I got the Dallas Cowboys 2. I got the Washington Commanders 3. And I got the New York Giants 4 for offense. And again, not saying that they're trash. I just think our overall talent is better than the Giants. The only thing that they have over us is quarterback, and that's a huge, huge thing. I'm not trying to say it's not, but our overall talent is just really good. And then you look at the defense side of the ball, you can't not put Dallas number 1. Dallas is the best defense in the division right now on paper, and they proved it last year. Dan Quinn has been really good for them. Again, their key additions of Stephon Gilmore, Mozzie Smith, that was a weak point for them, was that interior defensive line. Adding those two guys, and some other pieces, extending Leighton Vander Esch, that could be proven to be a big thing for them. So Dallas definitely is the best defense in this division right now. Michael Parsons still a dog. Dexter Lawrence still, DeMarcus Lawrence rather, still could show that he has some left in the tank too. So Dallas, I'll give them number 1 right now. And number 2, I got my Washington Commanders as the second best defense in the NFL, in the NFC East. I keep saying NFL, NFC East. I think we have it all over the field, man, from front 7 to the secondary. Again, the only thing that concerns me a little bit is the linebacker position, but Jamin Davis is going to continue to get better, continue to grow. You got Cody Barton, who we replaced with Cole Holcomb. Not the biggest fan of that move, but again, he hasn't played yet, so I can't really dislike it until I see him play. And then the secondary. Our secondary overall is really good. Benjamin St. Juste. You drafted Emmanuel Forbes. You got Kendall Fuller. You got Cameron Curl, Derek Forrest. Like, the secondary is really good. So I got us number 2. And number 3, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. And then number 4, I got the New York Giants. So that is my offense and defensive rankings for the NFC East headed into 2023. I think the next show we'll do the NFC North, and then we'll proceed from there. So that is that. Now let's go to the next segment here, where we're going to be talking about the Commanders tight end group. I want to mention the Commanders tight end group because I feel like that's a position that is kind of getting overlooked in a sense, but it's not like you must be paying attention to them. But I think we have some pieces there that is actually good. I know a lot of us were excited about Amani Rodgers and what he could potentially have brought to the team, but he obviously isn't going to be here this season, so he's going to be missed. It's not saying that it's that he won't. We're not saying that he's not going to be missed, but we have some guys that are now going to be able to step up and show out. You got Logan Thomas, the returning veteran. A lot of people want to forget Logan Thomas is still the guy here. He's still the tight end 1 in Washington. He's still the tight end 1 here in Washington. So I think a lot of people forgot that. But it's because we're excited for what guys like Cole Turner, guys like Curtis Hodges could bring to this lineup. John Bates. We want to see what these guys could bring to this team. But Logan, this is the first year that I can say he pretty much is healthy, right? And he has an offensive coordinator that's going to actually give him the ball. A big reason to why Logan has not been that impactful the last couple of years has been obviously injuries, and then 2, Scott Turner not getting the tight ends involved. Tight ends really rarely got involved in Scott Turner's scheme, if we want to think about it. So I think the tight end group has some dudes, and it's gonna be interesting to see who arrives to the occasion. Cole Turner is a guy that I was excited about last season, but he got hurt and he wasn't able to show what he could do. So this year, is he gonna be able to take that leap? Is Curtis Hodges now with Amani Rodgers been out for the year? Can he actually show that he can play and he can be good? He had some flashes in the preseason last year. Now he has that opportunity. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. Let's get to the last segment and then we'll get out of here. Let's see who's up there in the chat. Philip B. I appreciate you, Philip B, for rocking with me this morning. My guy Philip B, always supporting the channel. I wonder, let's see. Philip B says, It would have been nice to trade back this draft for sure. Morning to you, Philip B. Appreciate you for coming through. Always supporting the channel, Philip B. And yeah, I agree, man. Hindsight, if we could do it all over again, we would definitely entertain trade back scenarios. I think we would have even. Who do you think? Do you think we would have took Jalen Hurts now that we know what he is, or Justin Herbert? Honestly, I don't care who we would have taken, but I know it wouldn't have been Chase Young. Philip B says, I truly think we are going to have the most complete team on both sides of the ball this year. Our D is going to make some serious noise this year. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree that we have the most complete team, at least in the discussion. I think Philly, headed into the season, Philly has the most complete team headed into the season. But as the season progressed, if Sam Howell is what we think he can be, Washington could take over that throne. For sure. Ready Red. Appreciate you for listening to Top of the Morning Show, Ready Red. Ready Red says, sweep season. Go Cowboys. Nah, Ready Red. Ready Red starting early, huh? He starting early this June. It's June. And he talking the sweep talk already. Shout out to my guy Ready Red. Hey, Kyle, since it's Cowboys fans in here, if y'all haven't checked out the video that I posted yesterday, a Cowboys fan and a Commanders fan was going back and forth in the barbershop about some interesting topics. He said CeeDee Lamb was better than Terry McLaurin and a whole bunch of other stuff. So go check out that video, y'all, if y'all haven't already, when y'all have some time. It's a very good video, and I definitely want to do more of those. So if y'all want me to pop up at y'all barbershop, man, you know, let me know. But shout out to you, Ready Red. Ready Red says Cowboys sweep season. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. Maybe the other way around. You know what I'm saying? Donnell Jenkins, my other Cowboys fan, always showing love to the channel. Shout out to you, Donnell Jenkins. Says 30 minutes late, but I'm here. Hey, it's all good, man. As long as you make it, I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Ready Red says Giants ain't got the talent as everybody else. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Ready Red says the Giants, a lot of their success was due to coaching. Now, can that happen again this year? Definitely. Not saying that they are going to be bad this year. Not saying they're going to be trash. But what I am saying is I definitely can't. When we do rankings, I can't put them above other teams. They statistically, on paper, don't have as much talent as everybody else. So, great comment right there. I agree. Donnell Jenkins says, go Cowboys. Philip B says, hell Cowboys fan. Yeah, man. Cowboys fans up here early this morning. Philip B says, welcome Dallas fam. I have our 3 tight ends in my dynasty league. Yeah, I think our 3 tight ends is actually, I don't want to say necessarily like we have a group that is going to be really good this year, but I definitely think it's some talent there. There's some talent there. Like, it's not as bad as we make it out to be. For sure. Philip B says, I think we would have been in the middle of the draft and got Hurts. You think so? I don't, because where did Jalen Hurts go? Jalen Hurts went in the 2nd round. So, if we're looking back at it, hindsight, I think you have to say, it has to be Joe Burrow, either Justin Herbert or Jalen Hurts, and then Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is the 3rd best pick. Third pick to the Lions if we redraft him, honestly. Shoot, hey, that year since we took Chase Young, we might have took Justin Herbert. Who knows? I mean, Justin Jefferson, if he don't take a quarterback. And could you imagine Terry McLaurin and Justin Jefferson on the side? Oh, my Lord. That would be crazy. All right, so Alante, appreciate you, Alante, for listening to Top of the Morning Show. Alante says, what's up, Juan? What's good, Alante? My guy, always showing support to the channel. I appreciate you for listening to Top of the Morning. Alante says, left hand up. You already know it. You already know. Left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all for rocking with me this morning. Episode number 30 of the Top of the Morning Show podcast. We will be live Wednesday morning for episode 31. So please join me as we will have a lot to discuss Wednesday morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Like this on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It's me and boy Juan Gotti. See you next time. I'm out. Peace.